like everyone who comes from a different walk of life can contribute something unique to Christianity. Me, as a yogi, a mystic, spiritual seeker, who did not leave one religion for the other, and who was not actually an atheist, I was actually very much passionate about the Creator for a very long time before I came to Christianity, to Christ. Um, I would like to contribute uh, many things to people's vision, people's understanding of Christianity, of God. So right now, I would like to share my my understanding and my knowledge on this thing that we call enlightenment, which is quite a paradox because when and I had this epiphany just earlier, which I wanted to share. So what I'm trying to find my words, trying to let the words come to me as I usually do. I say it's a paradox because once one reaches that state of enlightenment, I'm sure you heard many times, especially if you come from the same traditions, that the I disappears. The ego, right? The ego. People love to throw around this word, the ego. I personally like to choose different words and different terms which don't belong to habit. Because when we start getting used to certain words and certain terms, our consciousness kind of goes to sleep. And we say these words thinking we know what they mean. But it is healthy to change the words up every now and then because it demands your attention once again. Because every word and every term brings a new attention, a new it awakens your attention once again. Because now you're dealing with a new term and a new word, which may be slightly different or more different than the one you were uh, used to. But whatever the case may be, it does demand your attention more than before. So instead of saying the ego, I rather say the I, the I. So when so actually, what I'm trying to say is when one becomes enlightened, one realizes that no one is enlightened, that nobody is enlightened. Let that sink in a little bit. When one reaches enlightenment, one realizes that no one is enlightened. Nobody is enlightened. That doesn't make sense. What are you trying to say? You might say, you might ask. Well, when the I, whether it's I or I and I, like the Rastas say, right? When it's someone, One is I. They both look the same too. One and I. That identity, identification with self, which is what people refer to as ego, but I choose not to use that word because for the reasons that I've already stated. But when one or someone, or when the I or some I, someone, right, becomes enlightened, reaches that state, he realizes that that state can only exist when the concept of I is no longer there. When the me, in terms of identity, is no longer there. That's what it means. And this is not something I read anywhere or have been told by anyone. It's coming directly from my experience. Having said this, whoever tells you I am enlightened, it is not true. Because the I cannot be enlightened. Because enlightenment means that the I is no more. This is the paradox of enlightenment. And I had so my epiphany took me to a certain conclusion after these realizations, because I've always seen that enlightenment is you becoming God. You don't need to worship God, right? You hear that a lot, especially in the spiritual circles. And I just spoke to one yoga teacher, very respectable man, the other day. But he also said, because when I told him that I'm Christian right now, he immediately had got that um, reaction. Oh, religion, no, it's, same reaction that I used to have. So I completely understand. Religion is the source of all the problems of the world, and no, 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 no. Why do you need to worship God? You are God. I was just smiled at him, and what I wanted to say to him is what is being said now in this video. The minute you say you are God, or that you are enlightened, or the I is enlightened, you have not understood. You have not attained. You have not realized. True realization is that I, that so you see, it's so beautiful. It all comes back to the same point. The so-called the spiritual people in general, they've adopted this idea, this conclusion. And they're usually against religion, like I was, right? You don't need religion. You don't need a God. You're the God. Just be enlightened, and you're one with God, and you're God yourself. But you and God cannot be one. It is either you existing as you, as the I, or allowing God to take over. This is, in itself, the fundamental concepts or notion or understanding of enlightenment. The I melts, the I evaporates, therefore enlightenment. So you cannot say, even if you have attained, when you attain, it is not you who has attained, even though you are still you. It's going to sound a little confusing to people, I know. But it's good to have these conversations, even if you guys are Christian, because I imagine that now I'm having more and more Christian audience, which is good. I don't want to lose the spiritual seekers, the yogis, the mystics, because I became Christian. No, guys, stay, don't go. Because actually, everything that I've been through culminated in Christ. It's not like when I came to Christ, I realized that everything I was going, the path that I was on before was wrong, and now I took a 180-degree turn. No, because I know that a lot of people might think this, especially Christians. Oh, he was on the wrong path, and now he's turned around and came to Christ. And the spiritual and the yogis would say the same thing. Oh man, you were on the spiritual path and you were a seeker, but now you're a believer? Both of them are wrong. Both the Christians and the seekers are wrong. In fact, it is a continuity. The path that led me to Christ, I did not throw anything away. Actually, it is what helped me come to Christ. It is what helped me understand Christ and know Christ the way that he really should be known. So now I'm bringing these two paths together, these two perspectives together, because actually what I've realized is that they are the same. On the surface, they look very different. But I want to show you how similar they are, far more than you've ever imagined. I cannot be enlightened. If I reach enlightenment, I am no longer the one in the front seat. It is the enlightenment itself. It is the universal consciousness. Or, as we say in Christianity, it is God. So when you become enlightened, you are no longer the one enlightened, but enlightenment is happening. You are a vessel that shines the enlightenment, but you are not the enlightenment itself. You are not the universal consciousness, even though you are part of it, just like we are all part of God. That's what it means to be a child of God. Christianity, in Christianity, we are all children of God. We are not God Himself just because we're His children. We are not God Himself because we come from Him. But even Jesus said, I'm paraphrasing now because I don't remember the exact words, but doesn't your scripture say that ye are all gods? Gods with the lowercase g, not the God, not the beingness itself, but beings coming forth from that cosmic beingness, which brings everything into being, which is what God is. Of course, we are part of that, but we are not that itself. We are human, whether bodily, in a bodily term sense, in a mental sense, in an emotional sense, or even in an energetic sense, in an etherical. I don't know how to say that in English. Etherical, in in an etheric sense, we might be beyond human, of course. But most of us exist on the human plane, where the I exists. all that Christianity, the teachings of Christ, all that the spiritual way of the mystics, the yogis, true ones, all comes to the same point: the dissolving of the I, surrendering yourself in the Christian sense, putting yourself down, and allowing God to be the master and the guide of your life. But when you have a strong ego, and now I'm using the word ego now, when you have a strong I, no, it's very hard, right? Especially if you're very well, if you've been through a lot of education, you have all these degrees, and you have all these I, grand, grandiose ideas about yourself. How can I put myself down after accomplishing so much and gaining so much respect and prestige? Now you want me to say that I'm nothing and that God is everything? How dare you? It actually offends people. Well, I was very lucky to not be one of those people ever in my whole life, which is what actually made it possible for me to know Christ. I was never the one who, so even when I was religious less, spiritual, I always put the universal consciousness first. And I knew that I was only sitting in the back seat. I never fell for this new age idea that you are the God, you don't need a God, you are the God. I never said that. All my videos from more than 10 years ago are still there on YouTube, and you can go see them. Nowhere in those videos do I say, we are God, you are God, I'm God. Like we don't need to worship God. We are God. I never said that. All the new age people say these things. I never said this because I never was a new age person. I was going to say fool. Billy Carson says it. A whole lot of other people say it. That I was saved from that. You know why? Because I was never interested in being spiritual. All I was interested in is to know the truth. That's all. I was never interested in having this image that I'm spiritual. So even when I was actually following a spiritual path, religious less spiritual path, a seeking of truth, I never became full of myself like, yeah, I'm spiritual and I'm this and that and I'm the soul and I was never one of those people. Even when I had my long hair and my long beard and I was walking barefoot in the forest and not eating like much, and it was on fruit, eating just fruits for a long time, or not eating any meat, any chicken. I just started eating chicken last year actually. Haven't eaten it in almost 20 years. I'm not eating red meat since more than 20 years. But that was never me. I never said these words like, "Oh yeah, I'm you're a god yourself." So when the yogi yesterday told me this, it made me a little bit sad. I wanted to help, but our age gaps are quite quite huge. And that's another thing that shows that the ego or the I is still strong. It's still blocking the way to God. Oh, he's a young guy. I'm much older than him. I don't have much. I don't really have anything to take seriously from him. So I most of the time kept silent. Just let him talk. But sometimes I would ask a challenging question or say what I know to be true. But it's a fine line because I also don't want to offend him or make him feel insulted or give him the idea that I'm an arrogant person, because I'm not. Because when you start talking about enlightenment, and you know that you're one of those people who have the experience of enlightenment, and you just throw it out like, yeah, I'm speaking from experience. Enlightenment is this, is that. Now you're you're walking into some very sensitive terrain, because now what you're telling the other person is you know what enlightenment is. So the other person might have one of these reactions. Either he'll be like, he'll say to himself or even to you, so you think you're enlightened? And just lose respect for you, because how can you call yourself enlightened? Like, who do you think you are, right? Or a more humble person, a more seeking person might say, let's see. You claim to be? You claim to know what it is? Let's see. Let's see. I'm not going to react for or against. Let's see. Probably this was the reaction of the man yesterday. I don't know. Maybe conflicting. Maybe both. I feel it was somewhere between the two perceptions that I just mentioned. A third one might be for the very sensitive soul, to whom you don't even have to speak much. They just look at you and they know what you know. You know? They just look into your eyes and hear the tone of your voice and feel your energy, and they're like, "Oh, I know who you are. I know what kind of being you are. I can see through the carcass of your body. I can feel the pulsating energy, the presence. I can tell whether you know what enlightenment is or what it isn't. Those people are precious, precious gems. If you ever happen to come across someone like that, or even as the second one that I mentioned, you claim to know what enlightenment is. Okay, let's see. Keep talking, and we'll see. That one is more dependent on what you say and what you express verbally. But the third one is, if you happen to meet the third kind, you can be sure that you've met a truly godly person. And that godly person will not always come the way that you expect. Oh, he must be without religion. He must be a yogi practicing yoga. He must be a spiritual man, calling himself a spiritual man. He must be a vegan. He must be no. Nope. Because believe me, I've met Christians like this. People who have a religion who are like this. It has nothing to do with what your identity is. It's about your identity being loose. If you're firm in your identity, you're very unlikely to be this kind of person. If you're loose with your identity, no matter what your identity is, no matter what it is, Christian, Muslim, no matter what, but you're not really a slave to that identity, now something can be perceived beyond the five senses. Those kind of people are very, very perceptive. So, what does it mean to be enlightened? Yes, in a way, you manifest the divine consciousness, the universal consciousness, cosmic consciousness, name it whatever you like. They all mean the same thing. You manifest it. Now you've become a vessel of that. But as long as your identity is still solid, and you now think highly of yourself because of this realization, or because you have become a vessel of that, and like you feel, you think highly of yourself, you have not understood. Because Jesus, who was, whether you believe he was the literal Son of God, whether you believe he was an enlightened being, all these things, he was the most humble. God, the most humble. One who manifests God becomes he cannot help but be the most humble. Meaning he will sit with homeless people. He will wash the feet of those less worthy. He is an outpouring of love, infinite love. He would give his life to his friends, for his friends. His love is not the mere mundane love that humans call love. Like, oh, I love you because actually, we get along, and, I like what you're about. Like, my preference checks everything about you. I like. It's about liking, not disliking, right? So now I like you, so now I'm gonna love you and give you my time and attention. No. It's that kind of, it's not even about people's personality, but you've become that such a person that you fall in love with life itself. I don't mean life in an abstract sense of waking up, or like life activities or life situations. No, life force. Wherever life force exists, you are there as a, um, in reverence to that life, because you know that life is the most sacred thing. And life is not limited to biology, life is not limited to form, but it does exist because now this young man speaking to you on camera, he has life. Life is animating his physical body, but life is all around us. What I'm breathing is giving me life, because if I stop breathing, I cease to exist the way you see me now. Do you think that what I'm breathing, what we're breathing, is not alive? How can it give me life if it's not alive? Everything that gives life is alive in one way or another. It is about life. This is why people like Jesus, people like Buddha, people who have attained to that which is divine, to God, all of a sudden they love life. They love animals. They care about the welfare of every living creature because it's life. It's not because it's a moral thing. It's not because, oh, now I have to be nice to everyone. No. It's because now you value the phenomenon of life. Because what enlightenment actually is, what coming to God actually is having a more profound and intense taste of life. Hence songs like living water. You have quenched my thirst, Jesus, with living water. You have given me living water, and now I'm born again. Now I'm alive. Now I'm more alive than I've ever been. It's all about life, affirming. Affirming life, life, and life again. And the more life force you have, the more intense your life force is, the more godly you become, the more connected with God you become, because God is life, is the giver of life, and life itself is love as well. Not only loving, He is love itself. Love and life are, we can call them the same thing. It's not much of a difference. It's actually the same thing, because there's not one without the other. And they work in harmony together. They're not even opposed, like love and hate. Some would say love and hate are two sides of the same coin. Yeah, in a sense, but this is different. This is like two forces moving together, dancing the same dance, like the Father and the Son. Same thing. Love and life, same thing. So, as you can see, there's a whole lot to say about these things. But when I start talking about these things, guys, I never prepare anything. Because I know that these things flow. All you have to do is keep your awareness awake. And the Lord, now I'm speaking in the Christian language, the Lord moves you, the Holy Ghost moves you. So I don't only speak in the common Christian language, as you have seen in this video, purposefully. For a few reasons. One, I want to show people that we are talking about the same thing. Secondly, I want to bring both camps in one place. Those who are Christian and believers of God, and those who are spiritual and on the spiritual path of seeking truth. You are brothers and sisters. You must come together. Don't separate yourselves. Don't get caught up in small terminologies, small differences, and make it so great, and make the difference so great as to start believing that you are actually very different from one another. You're not. You are serving the same Creator, even if you don't call Him the same name. But as long as that Creator is the manifestation of love, it's love. Jesus was a man, is a man, but what He represents surpasses his manness, his human form. Hence love. Love goes beyond borders, like we said in that other video that a couple of days ago, I guess. Love is that phenomenon that goes beyond its own borders, its own limitations. That is what makes a religion of love, such as Christianity, extremely valuable and powerful. Because nothing can stop something like that. It's not trying to keep its love to itself. It's allowing love to behave as love should behave. Just like light behaves the same way. Love and light are very similar. You cannot limit light. If you try to limit light, it's not light anymore. It becomes darkness. If I have a light bulb or a candle and it's lighting a certain, a certain amount of space, but if now I try to, oh no, I want to keep this light all to myself and I close on to it, and now it's only lighting what is covering it. And I think in my stupid logical mind that now I'm preserving light because I want this light for me. I don't want it to be dispersed all over the place. Same thing is with love. Love actually goes beyond. Just like light goes beyond that form which emanates light, whether it be a light bulb, a candle, or the sun. In the same way, love shines so bright and so far because it wants to reach far places. It is powerful. Love cannot exist unless it reaches far, just like light. Light cannot exist if it doesn't reach far, if it doesn't shine all around the maximum of space that it does. If it didn't do that, it wouldn't be light. What do you call you know, when a bonfire goes off, right? The bonfire was burning for a long time and you can still see those red woods, right? Coal or wood or whatever. It's still red. It's still burning, but there's no light coming from it. There's no fire. There's no light. But it's still hot. It's red or orangey, right? But no light. So you can burn, but that doesn't mean that you're giving off light. You can know love or have love or some kind of love, but that doesn't mean that you're shining love. To be a Christian means you shine love. To be a disciple of Christ, a child of Christ, you willingly allow His love to awaken your heart and to open your heart and to soften your heart, and then to shine all that love everywhere and all around you. It's immensely beautiful. So, guys, having said that, I'm kind of losing my concentration because I'm very sleepy, and it's almost an hour that I've been speaking. So I'm gonna go sleep and upload this first thing in the morning. May God bless you in the Father and Son and Holy Spirit name. Amen. Go in peace and go in love. And thank you very much for watching. See you guys very soon.